I want to start our meeting with a very special ritual. For this ritual, I will ask you a question, but you don't need to answer it. You just need to think about it in your mind very honestly. For this ritual, I also need you to close your eyes. Please close your eyes. Get focused. Try to open your heart and mind and get ready for the question. Ready? Here it is. Have you ever thought about your brain with the same care, love, compassion, and concern like you have for your hair and face and makeup and skin and body hygiene on everyday setting? Or like your phone, even the car? Now you can open your eyes. Let's be honest. How often do you think about your brain? Like you think, let me get on Facebook or Instagram and see what's happening with the likes or the posts. I ask those questions to my students every time I enter into a new classroom here at AUA or anywhere else. The answer is always the same aha moment smiles on the faces. And the fact that I am asking you this question doesn't really make me one of those who is an early adopter of a human brain, not at all. Me, just like most majority of you, thought about my brain very late when I was in my 20s, even in my 30s. But it wasn't that I forgot about my brain. No, I knew that I have my brain up there in my penthouse, under my skull, but I thought we kind of did the job division between us. It's responsible for the thinking. It's doing a good job, so I'm responsible for enjoying my life, so there is nothing to worry. But I have to tell you, if you have similar thoughts or assumptions, those are the most dangerous thoughts of your life. Why? Because the only fact that the brain is responsible for thinking, it doesn't make it a critical thinker. And if you do not do the job of teaching your brain how to think critically, it's going to mess up your life. It actually messed up my life, and it took me around 8 to 10 years to bring my life back into normal. You know, we all are experiencing hard times at certain point in our life, and we're experiencing those times very individually. I was hoping that I would get the support from my brain and mind. That didn't happen. These days, people know me for my red lipstick. Very often when I get introduced, people say, oh, you are the lady with the red lipstick on LinkedIn. As if I am the only lady with the red lipstick on LinkedIn, and as if there is nothing else I've done worth mentioning. But people don't know that my red lipstick has nothing to do with my image or my makeup or my personal or professional brand. In fact, it's my survival story. And it's something that helped me when my own brain refused to help me, but I needed its support so much. And what was happening was that I was, because of certain things happening in my life, was thinking into this very dark and evolving, spreading depression. And when I realized that things are getting very crazy, like I was having very negative thoughts and feelings, and I was not able to control many things in my life, I thought of traveling, hoping that it will help me to escape my reality or maybe even refresh me. And I ended up visiting my friends abroad. And when you are with your friends and your friends know that you need support, what do? You go for therapy shopping for therapy. So in the middle of this crazy shopping, we ended up buying 2 rouge red lipsticks. When we came home, we put everything on the table. Everything got sorted out very quickly, packed, organized. But those lipsticks stayed on the table untouched for around a week. And just before I was ready to come back, I saw my friend trying to throw them away. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm throwing them away. Nobody's going to wear them. I was like, no, no, no. Give them to me. I'll do. Of course, I knew at that point that I will not, because before that, I never wore rag. But when I was back, apparently one of those days that I was not feeling good, I ended up wearing it. What's interesting is that in my memory, I don't have that episode, me standing in front of the mirror and putting it on. It should have been quite a bit of an experience. I know it because I wear it every day now. What I remember instead is when I was walking toward the office, I suddenly saw this bright, bold, blonde, happy, shiny lady walking toward the office building and kind of projecting happiness. And only because of the synchronicity of the motion, I was like, could that be me? I even stopped and looked again and imagined my surprise and the shock when I realized it's me. It hit me like a lightning. I even laughed like a hysteric because for the first time in quite a while, I realized that I'm still alive. And I remember that talk going in my mind. Oh my God, babe, see, you're still alive. Can't you see you're alive? How you can refuse to live? How you can refuse to experience the life? And actually, that was the day that I decided and I promised to myself that I'll be wearing this red lipstick every day as a reminder for me to stick around life and to survive, as an anchor to my decision to win over my depression. And from that day on, I'm wearing it every day. Doesn't matter what I do, shop, bike, hike, date, doesn't matter what I do. It's always with me. But for you to understand what was happening inside, it was as if I entered into this corridor of darkness where I was very alone, very scared. And the feeling was that, these negative thoughts would pop up in my mind like a popcorn, and I would have these negative feelings. They would scare me like hell, and I would try actually to run away and escape the corridor, but instead I would hit my head on the walls of this corridor. What was also interesting was that I would see me on both ends of that corridor, and as if I was a higher consciousness separated from my body, watching me on both ends of that corridor, me with that red lipstick shiny happy at the end of the corridor at the exit, and me at the entrance. And what was interesting was that I would often try to return back and to run and escape that corridor from the entrance to my past happy life. But it wasn't possible because that corridor that was called life had a very strict rules to move only forward to the exit or to let go the life. But I didn't want to let go my life. I wanted to live. And as you can see, I'm here. I survived the corridor and the depression. And of course, I survived it not because of the red lipstick. It was just something that reminded me to not give up. I survived because I started to question myself and my brain and why it was not supporting me when I needed it so much, why I was not able to control my feelings and thoughts and actions. And that questioning led me toward a major obsessive, addictive self-education toward my brain, which in its turn actually helped me understand what is my brain, how it's working, what is my mind, how it's working, how they're interconnected, how my mind is being built up by all the things that we don't even know that could be thrown into it. And that self-awareness and kind of internal eye on how I'm thinking helped me overcome many things. Most importantly, it helped me change the root of my negative thoughts, thus the negative feelings, and also the actions I would have that I wouldn't want to have. It actually helped me to make a decision, a tough decision, change my job, cut off negative people from my life, start to eat healthy, start to sleep healthy, develop healthy critical thinking skills finally. And on top of that, I was able to overcome some of the major fears in my life, like swimming. I learned to swim when I was 45, and also writing. I wrote a book about how I got to know my brain, though I would hate writing because I'm dysgraphic, and dysgraphic people, they're not good at writing, as you may know, not good at spelling. I had enough of bullying because of that. To sum up, that self-education helped me negotiate this major peace deal between me, my mind, and my brain. And now when I'm thinking why I was not doing it before, you might have that question in your mind as well. I have to confess, I was not doing it because I thought I don't have the permission to study my brain. Who am I to study the brain? Your Majesty, the brain. Come on, you cannot do it. It's the capacity, it's the competitive advantage, the talent of very small, talented group of people who have this monopoly of studying the brain. And we call them scientists, psychologists, psychotherapists, neurologists, neuroscientists, and so on and so forth. I really believed I won't have the capacity to make it. But what's ironic is that today, at every end of the world, every kid is studying coding, becoming software engineers from 14, 15 years old. We're not even questioning it. My son is one of those. I've never questioned that he wouldn't be able to study software engineering in his 15 years old. And what's interesting is that we adults are responsible for all this. And why? Because at our dinner tables, we do not preach our kids, study your brain to be happy, wealthy, and healthy. Happy. Because the only way to be wealthy and happy and healthy is to study software engineering these days, right? And I hate being sarcastic about this. Why? Because technologies transform our life. They made my life happier, better, easier. But I get upset, a bit sad that we don't have the equal attention and love and excitement toward our brain education, just like we have about the tech education, the AI education, the robotics, the engineering, and so on and so forth. And what's interesting is that this discussion has been on the table for quite a while. We have been bothered why we're not teaching our kids critical thinking, we're not doing the brain education. One of my most favorite authors, Chomsky, would keep saying, the schools don't teach thinking, instead they teach obedience. Carol Dweck, through her research, she's explaining that teaching the brain to kids is ensuring for them to better understand how the learning is happening and supporting them to develop the growth mindset. Jeffrey Schwartz, in his book and his lab activities, he's helping and proving us to understand that knowing your brain can help you to fight your negative thoughts, improve your thinking, and most importantly, get control over your life. And with the tech revolution, this discussion evolved even to the next level. Today, we are already discussing new rules and regulations to be able to control the ethical use of AI. It's a bit funny, but we're at least thinking about it. And we're also developing some regulations to manage the relationship between the humans and the bots or the robots. We're even discussing new concepts like cognitive liberty, which is something that is trying to protect the freedom and autonomy of our thought formation process, so we do not have unwanted influences. We're even discussing to have it in the Human Rights Convention. But sometimes I'm thinking, is that enough for us really to get where we want? And I'm afraid there is a missing piece of the puzzle that we do not want to face. And I think that's the brain and mind education and the ownership toward our brain. Why? Let me explain. Imagine you have this car, brand new Bentley, in your garage. On the paper, it's yours, but you don't know what is it, how it's working, how to drive it, most importantly. What's the use of it that you have all those rules and regulations that you're allowed to drive or, how to drive? Same way, you have this new brand Bentley brain in your skull, but you don't know how to use it. You don't know what is it. You don't know how to drive it so it can drive you toward your mission. What's the use of it that it belongs to you, or on the paper it's yours? Or we have developed all these new kinds of rules and regulations. You see, I think today it's becoming very unethical anymore to teach all kinds of tech skills to our kids without really teaching them about their brain and mind and how they're working. But most importantly, through that education, return the basic ownership of our brain into our hands. I think today getting to know your brain is not a luxury anymore. It's a very basic human right. Moreover, it's an intimate and inherited human right for which we don't need to wait for any kinds of permissions. And most importantly, we should not delegate it to anyone. And I think it's our intimate responsibility to get to know our brain and return the ownership toward our brain into our hands. So starting the self-education toward the brain is one of the best things you can do for your life. But if you don't feel like you're ready for that, and if in case dark days will knock on your door, just know that you still have the choice to pick the red lipstick, entertain yourself with that. It's going to be hard for the boys to choose the shadow, I know, but the shed, I know. But what you can do, you can pick something symbolic like the red lipstick to stick to life, not to give up, and give you the time and space to get to know your brain so it can help you to come back and enjoy your life the fullest and be happy ever after. Thank you. Happy adventures to your brain.